Hello again and welcome to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. And today we're focusing on the Philippines. And the Filipino community is the 8th largest migrant group in Tasmania and is in fact one, if not the fastest growing migrant community in the state. And today I'm talking with Dona, who arrived in Tasmania about 15 years ago and has already told me a very interesting story about how she used to get to school back in her village in the Philippines. Let's hear some more about Dona's experience, both of growing up in the Philippines and also of moving to Tasmania. Why did she come here? Let's find out. So first of all, thank you, Dona, for agreeing to talk to me and 177 Nations of Tasmania podcast. So first question, could you tell me a bit about where you grew up? What was it like? Where was it and what was it like to grow up there?
I grew up in the Philippines, and that's up north of the country. It's about 14 to 16 hour drive from Manila, where the capital city of the Philippines, and it's called Cagayan Valley. And Cagayan Valley is the hottest city in the Philippines. It's because of the two mountains that actually in between this valley. Yeah, so I grew up there until the age of 28, and that's when I moved to Tasmania.
So growing up there, what kind of environment was it? Could you give us a little bit of an idea?
Yeah, so it is a village, so everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows every gossip that has everyone in town. It's a very peaceful environment, really, and it's everyone is related and everyone knows each other. So my dad was a municipal secretary for 25 years in that city. And my mom is a teacher, so she's now retired. She used to be my teacher in grade 2, like my mom. I have one brother and two sisters, so we're all 4 in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was, from what you say, it was a fairly small village?
Yeah, it's a small village. And for us to get education, we have to walk about 45 minutes. And on our dongs, we have to cross the river actually every day for 6 years, from grade 1 to grade 6. And that's how we did every day, crossing the river. And that's actually, I think, one of the reasons why I had to study harder, because I love the place, but the opportunity for growth in that place is very limited. So I remember my dad, while working as a municipal secretary, he was farming as well. So every school break during summertime, in the middle of the day, it's 50 degrees. We were mandated to go and till the land as well, help him out. So we go and plant rice or harvest rice during harvest season. And it was so hard. It was a challenge for me. And my dad said, if you don't study hard, you don't get an education, this is what you will end up with. So that was the reason why I studied harder and get an education, because I didn't want to be a farmer.
But just to get back to you said crossing the river. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so crossing the river, our village is located on the other side of the river, and my mom at that time was teaching on the other side of the river. So she had to take us with her to the school every day. So we had to go to cross the river every day, and for 6 years. And I remember there were times that the river was high because of this typhoon, and we dealt like more than 25 typhoons every year, and we had to deal with that while going to school. So of our bags and our belongings crossing the river, and sometimes it goes up to the neck. So we had to remove our clothes, and so we put our belongings and more bags over our heads, and we had to cross that river. So the challenge actually was there.
Yeah.
And we survived.
Yeah. You have to be pretty committed.
It was.
To school.
Yes, definitely. That's the term. That's the word I was looking for. It's a commitment and dedication to get that education and finished it.
Yeah, so your parents obviously sort of pushed education as something important.
It's very important. Education in the family is really important for us, because for my family, they instilled in our minds that education is the key to success.
Yep, absolutely. So what was it like then at school in the Philippines? Do you have very big classes there? I mean, how does it work?
I remember at that time we were about probably 40 in a class. I remember my dad had to make our own chairs because we had to bring our own chairs and desk at the time because we don't have it's a very poor village. So we have to help the school to furnish our facilities. Access to water is was very limited as well. And every day I do remember when we get to our school, we had to go. The first thing that we had to do before we start our classes, we have to go and carry water for us to use and to water the plants as well. We do that again in the afternoon. Yeah.
So what sort of things were emphasized at school in the Philippines?
A bit of everything. English is very important. From grade 1 up to college, it's important that we have that unit every term to study. So it's a mandatory unit that we have to study. And that's the reason why Philippines our second language is English, and everyone can speak English.
But in terms of the way that you're taught there, is it very much like you just listen to the teacher? And take that,
Yep.
And sort of having to remember knowledge.
Yep. Yeah, that's how we were taught. It's like an authoritarian, and that's how I've been brought up as well in the family. We could not make a decision for ourselves. Our parents make the decision, and even now in the Philippines. So I remember when I was growing up, we were asked, "What's your ambition when you want to grow up?" And I said I wanted to be a nurse or a doctor. But then my mom, being a teacher, my mom said, "Okay." After finishing high school, she just enrolled me into education. So I became a teacher instead. Okay. And that was it.
Is it the case that the extended family is quite important in your life?
Yeah. So in our culture, we thrive collectively. And yeah, that's how we lived. It's aunties and uncles, they're always there. That's how we gather our strength, really, everyone in the family. So when we have problems or any issues that would come along the way, they're always there for us. And that's how we were brought up. And I think that's the difference that I can see in Australia, that Australians thrive individually. They wanted their space. So for example, I say that it's because when my dad died at the age of 55, and this was 11 years ago now. So when he died, and I can see the difference. I was here already in Australia, and I see the difference when someone's family passes away. Our family will just rally around you. They won't leave you. They won't even let you do anything. They won't let you move a muscle or anything. But in Australia, when someone dies, they just leave you alone. It's just like they wanted to, not leaving you alone, but they wanted to, how shall I say it? So in the Philippines, they actually stay with you and literally stay with you at home until even the 40th day after burial. So that's how supportive everyone is.
So, is it traditional in the Philippines, like it is to some extent here, that you don't just have the funeral, you have something like a wake where everybody has a chance to sort of...
Yeah, my dad had to wake at home for about 15 days. Unlike in here, you have to be in a funeral homes.
One afternoon.
Yeah, one afternoon. So in there, because they had to wait for us, because I was here already. And at that time, I lost my passport as well, so I couldn't travel straight away. So I had to go through Canberra to the Philippine embassy, and then go to Sydney, and then back to Manila. And it took me like about 6 days to be able to get that travel. That's one of the many ways how we show that we thrive collectively. And even celebrating Christmas, it's a more exciting one compared to, losing a family. Christmas is the one that I do really miss celebrating in the Philippines. I do remember when I first arrived here in 2005, my first Christmas, I cried. See, I was expecting in the movies kind of thing, but it's totally different. We just had lunch with the new family here, and that was it. We just exchanged gifts. That was it. it. So in the Philippines, 1st of September, that's the Christmas season already. So it's the longest season of the year. So September, October, November, December, even January. So 5 months of Christmas time in the Philippines. So that's amazing. So you get to hear, Christmas songs on the 1st of September. You'll get to see Christmas lights and Christmas decorations everywhere in the Philippines. And in the lead up to Christmas Day, lots of caroling. So a lot of kids come on your front door and sing Merry Christmas, or even in the middle of the night or early morning, they'll come and serenade you singing Christmas songs. It's amazing.
By the sounds of it, and also from my impressions generally about Filipino culture, it's a very social culture. Is that right? So it's sort of social interaction and relations very much valued.
Absolutely. Our entertainment, our one way of socializing is eating and karaoke, so everyone can sing. Yeah, so in the Philippines, I think every household has a karaoke. Singing and eating is the best way to entertain people.
But in terms of, you said it's a very collective culture and extended family is important. And you mentioned that your mother had a big impact on your
Indeed.
Decision making, I
yes.
guess.
Yeah.
What other kind of decisions do in your life might family members sort of influence or intervene in?
Apart from that, I think my religion, my father's side, they are heavily involved in the Baptist church. So my dad has got 2 sisters and 7 brothers, and his 7 brothers are all ministers, and my aunties are married to ministers as well. So except my dad, he's the only one that ended up working in the government or in the municipality. So all of them were or are still in the ministry. And I remember when I graduated high school, we had to move away from my parents because there's no high school where we grew up. So it's about 2.5 hour drive. And so my dad decided us to live with our grandmother, my grandmother's place. So that's in Tuguegarao City. So every month, that's the only time that we get to go back home in the village. Sometimes we don't even go there. It's like twice or 3 times a year we have to go. But my dad normally came and visited us. So we learned to become independent at the age of 12. So my dad built our house next to my grandma. So we're in a compound, and we learned to look after ourselves with my eldest sister and my brother. Yeah, so we were able to look after ourselves at a very young age and became independent. So I think that's one thing that we were taught as well, but with a strict guidance of our grandmother. So growing up with my grandmother as well, and around that we've got relatives in that compound as well, so we cannot just make a decision for ourselves. Every Wednesday we have to attend church for the prayer meeting. Friday we have to be in church for the choir practice. Saturday again for teaching kids on the street in the afternoon, and then at night time of Saturday we have to practice choir again. And on Sunday we have to be in church nearly the whole day from 9 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. So that's pretty much how we have been brought up when we were in high school. So, and that was mandatory. So if I missed one church attendance, like my grandma would say, like, what happened? Where were you? So I get crucified if you don't. So we were not allowed to go to the movies. We're not allowed to go to pubs or cinemas because they are, not that's what they call devil's place. Not allowed to drink alcohol. Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, not allowed to have boyfriends at the time as well. So school and church were the only 2 things we need to be doing.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess it would make you focus on your schooling.
Yeah, and I was expected to marry a pastor as well. So I remember when I finished my college, they were trying to set me up with a minister, and they were also expecting me to go to Bible school because all of my cousins, they are all in the Bible school, and they're all married with pastors or Bible women. Yeah, because it's fundamental Christian in the family. So it's just, I think they will call me prodigal daughter. I think they call us prodigal family because my dad's family is the only one that didn't follow the ministry.
Obviously, some members of your family sort of graduate and you'd get married, but what were your own sort of plans at that stage?
After graduation, so I became a teacher. I taught for 7 years actually, and I wasn't really expecting that I could move to Tasmania, but then I was in 2005. But my plan originally was to go to America because that's where my relatives are. So I never planned to come to Australia, let alone Tasmania, but it happened anyway. But that was everyone's dream in the village, so to go overseas, to go abroad. And abroad, what they're saying is America is a dream place. So I'm one of those women actually that found love online at that time because my ex-husband now, we found each other online, and those were like 2005. So he came and visited me in the Philippines, and then after 1.5 years we got married and started a new life here in Tasmania, which my father's side actually opposed, and up to now they're still, because they wanted me to marry a pastor and then I married a Tasmanian and he's not even a Baptist, so yeah.
What did you know about Tasmania, if anything, before you came?
Zero. I thought at that time for Tasmania, I thought people that live in Tasmania are black because it rhymes with Tanzania. So I thought it's Africa. And it wasn't hard for me to adjust, I would say. It's because to where I lived, it's a small place, and it's like Tasmania as well. Lots of space, lots of land space, farms, and it's kind of like lots of greens that you can see, and it's a rural place, so it wasn't difficult for me to adjust. But, bushwalking I came to love. So I have bushwalked a lot of places in Tasmania that I have never done in the Philippines. So that's one thing that I discovered myself, that I love nature and camping as well. Never experienced camping much in the Philippines, but here in Tassie, it's nature is the best thing that Tasmania could give you, not shopping malls. It's even bigger than shopping malls.
Apart from maybe missing your family, what else would you miss about the Philippines when you're here?
It's the food. And the first thing that comes to my mind is our mango in the Philippines. It's the sweetest mango in the world. And I've tasted a lot of mangoes in Tasmania, and nothing came close to the taste in the mango in the Philippines. And mango is my favorite food. And my dad, back in the Philippines, at home, he planted a lot of different types of mangoes because of the trees in there. He wasn't a big fan of flowering pots or plants. Like, he wanted more of those fruit-bearing trees because what are you going to do with those? You won't be able to have anything on it. So he preferred planting fruit-bearing trees instead.
In terms of getting to know local people, what's your experience been like? Has it been easy or difficult? And do you have any advice on ways to get to know locals if you're a newcomer?
I found Tasmanians are very friendly and very welcoming, and it's very easy to get along well with them. And I feel I'm fitting in. I felt welcome when I first arrived here. Never experienced racism as other people have had, and I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, so my advice for people who are planning to come over here, it's you're welcome to join us. And it's actually volunteered to be one of the Welcome Dinner Project. I don't know if you heard about that program before, and that's welcoming newly arrived migrants. It's a great program for newly arrived people to welcome them here and make them feel settled easily here. Did I answer?
And what does that involve?
It has involved about eating food. So I'm right up my alley for that because I love food and I love sharing food. So it's been a while that I haven't been involved, but the experience that I had in getting to know other culture, it's because of the pandemic. We can't do that now about sharing food. But when it's going to open, I'm going to be volunteering again. I'm a trained facilitator for that Welcome Dinner project, and bringing a dish from your country and share that with other people, and you talk about it, and then at the end of the dinner you share a little bit of your experience, why you came to Tasmania and what has your experience been, and at the end of the day you get to meet new people. I have seen some people who have made long-term friends out of that project. I have a charity called Football Equipment Aid Tasmania, and this stems from the support that I have been doing in the Philippines for a long time now, for 15 years. So back in the Philippines when I was a teacher, I have a friend who is a football coach, and since I moved to Tasmania, I have been supporting that football team every year. So we have a tournament, and which I'm supporting, and so this was in 2016 when I first went back to the Philippines and witnessed the tournament itself. And I went there and had a chat with the kids. And then what happened was that I saw some of the kids that were sitting, they were just watching while others were playing football. And then I approached them and I asked them why they were sitting there and not joining those kids playing. And they said, we are just waiting for them to finish so we could borrow the shoes, the football shoes and the equipment that I have. And that broke my heart. And so I said to myself at that time, I could do something to help these kids. And I know that I can see it in their eyes that they're passionate about playing football, but it's just limiting them because of the very limited resources that I have and they couldn't afford. Yeah. So I came back to Tasmania with an intention of, I am going to collect football equipment, so used football. So I have approached football teams in Tasmania. And since then, I have collected more than 1,000 jerseys and about 500 football shoes. And I have been sending them in the Philippines. So every year, we continued on with the tournament. We call it Tasmania Cup. So in 2017, went back home and, hosted a tournament, and it became bigger. That tournament, we had about 15 teams, and that's I think we had about 400 kids who participated in that tournament. And it was an amazing experience, and looking at those kids developing their skills, and not just sporting skills, but also life skills. Yeah. And it's quite fulfilling, actually. And then in 2018, again, I went back and it has doubled. So we had 35 teams who competed against, and it just expanded to different regions. And we had about 700 kids or 700 players who have been in that team. So that's my passion. I have not been active in last year, and this year it's because of my involvement with the Filipino community here. But I'm finishing at the end of the year, and I'm going to continue. If you see my garage at the moment, it's full of donated clothes, donated uniforms, of which it's waiting to be sent out. And I am planning to have a fundraiser because it costs a lot with just a box, which are 1 meter by 1 meter size of a box. It would cost me $150 to send to the Philippines. And so I would be asking for some support from the members of the community to help me around with that, to help more kids, get involved with sport.